So now we're going to get into the true cost of power. This, in my opinion, is kind of what it all hinges on. You're discovering your rapport is where you're going to discover the things that are going to help you. They're going to give you the ammunition that you need to make the deal make sense to that homeowner. They're going to tell you the things you need to customize that deal for them, to customize that experience so that they want what you have. But the true cost of power is where the presentation hinges, in my opinion. What I mean by that is if they say no to you at the end, if you get to the end and they say, let me think about it, they either didn't like you, didn't trust you, or the true cost of power didn't make sense to them. Because if the true cost of power makes sense, if it's clear to them what power is most likely going to cost them over time, then solar almost always is significantly less expensive. And so this is an important part. So an analogy that I like to use for this about the purpose of the true cost of power is when I used to sell cars. I sold cars for about a month and a half. And my job was to call all the people who had done service. They came in for an oil change or brakes or whatever. I was to call them and tell them we wanted to buy back their car and have them come in, and I'd give them a quote for how much we'd buy their vehicle for. It was all just a ploy to get them to come back in the door so we could sell them another vehicle. But when they came in, my job was to do a walk around and appraise their vehicle. And the way we would do that is we would walk around the vehicle and we would look at it and we'd see a little scratch. And we'd say, oh, how'd that scratch get there? We'd touch it. How'd that get there? We'd open the hood and we'd smell. How long does it smell like this? We'd open the car, we'd turn it on, and we'd be like, hear that noise? When did it start making that noise? And we'd ask these questions as we walked around the vehicle and analyzed the vehicle that had one purpose. It was to make them feel like their car was a piece of crap so that when we offered them a price for it, they thought that that was a fair price. Okay? True cost of power is similar to that car analogy. The whole point of the true cost of power is to help this person think, oh my gosh, my power bill is the worst, the most expensive thing on the planet. And there's effective ways to do this that are honest and ethical, and I'm going to walk you through some of those right now. So let's dive in and get into true cost of power. I say, here's the true cost of power, and I write that on my paper. I'm going to walk you through two ways to do this. One is an exact math way, and the other way is a more ambiguous way. Both are effective depending on the type of person you're working with, okay? So this first way, we're going to use actual numbers. So you guys are using 10,000 kilowatt hours per year. I write that down. And I say, based off of your last bill, blah, 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 blah. I pull up their bill. I say, based off of your last bill, you guys spent $150. $150 divided by the 750 kilowatt hours that you used, that equals 17 cents. That doesn't really equal 17 cents. I made that up, but you get the idea. So I then write down how much they're paying per kilowatt hour. You'll use that. You'll actually do the math in front of them when you're dealing with a real analytical brain, an accountant, an engineer, so they know you're not just making up this 17 cents number. If you're dealing with an artistic person, a more creative person, that bores them. Just tell them what they're paying. Hey, you're paying about 18 cents a kilowatt hour. Tell them a rough estimate of what they're paying, and they'll take your word for it, or ask them, okay? So in this example, I figured it out. He's paying 17 cents a kilowatt hour. So now I'm going to break this down to an annual cost for the customer. Mr. Customer, that means that in the next 12 months, you're going to buy 10,000 kilowatt hours of electricity at 17 cents a kilowatt hour. That means you're going to spend $1,700 in the next year on electricity. And I write that down for the customer. All you're doing is you're taking the price per kilowatt hour and you're multiplying that by the total annual kilowatt hours that they use, and that gives you their estimated annual cost of electricity. We estimate that you're going to spend about $1,700 in power in the next 12 months. Now, in 10 years, that means you'll spend $17,000 if prices don't go up. So for the annual cost, I'm going to take 17 cents, their current price per kilowatt hour or their average price per kilowatt hour, whatever you choose to do, times how much power they're using on the year, 10,000, $1,700. That's where I got the $1,700 per year. 10 years, you multiply that by 10, means they're going to spend $17,000 if the prices don't go up. And in 25 years, $1,700 times 25, they're going to spend $42,000 $500 over a 25-year period. Now, Mr. Customer, you're going to spend $42,500 on power in the next 25 years. How likely do you think it is that ComEd stays the same, goes up, or goes down? Exactly. They're most likely going to go up, right? So let's suppose that they go up by, let's call it 4%. If I multiply the no inflation price, $42,500, by 1.7, that's roughly compounded interest at 4 to 4.5% for the next 25 years. So, Mr. Customer, if it goes up by about 4% a year, you're going to end up spending $72,000 on electricity. And I circle that number on the paper and I put my pen down. And I say, nobody goes solar to save $50 a month. We're here today to see how much of this we can put back in your pocket for retirement or whatever, okay? So we're here today to see how much of this we can eliminate by converting your home to solar. Does that make sense? And then I ask them a question. Do you have any questions for me about your bill? Do you have any questions for me about the true cost of power or how I got these numbers? Okay, great. All right. So that is how I, on paper, do the true cost of power. And I've set up the whole presentation to hinge on how much of this $72,000 can we eliminate by converting our homes to solar. And then that becomes the whole message of the rest of the presentation. Now, this is very effective with the right type of people, but things are more powerful. If I say it, Lester always says this, if I say it, they tend to doubt it. If they say it, they believe it, okay? So I want to get them to come to these conclusions if possible, and I do that by asking effective questions, and I do that with effective storytelling and effective analogies. So I'm going to let Lester now share with you guys some videos that you're going to want to watch of different analogies and stories that are very effective on the true cost of power. You're going to want to memorize these, and you're going to want to sprinkle them in with what you just saw me do. What you just saw me do on the paper, you're going to want to sprinkle that in with the stories and analogies so that they really feel the pain of what this $72,000 could turn into.